The walls of Ávila are often presented as a monument to siege, a dramatic ring of stone built to resist attack. But that framing obscures their more persistent purpose. These walls were not designed for moments of crisis alone. They were built to organize space, to regulate movement, and to make the city visible to itself. They formed a managed boundary, one that allowed oversight to become routine. The walls did not exist primarily to repel enemies. They existed to structure daily urban life through enclosure, order, and continuity. Encircling the historic city for more than 2.5 kilometers, the walls rise directly from the rocky plateau on which Ávila stands. They are massive, yet measured. Their height averages around 12 meters, their thickness close to 3 meters at the base. More than 80 semicircular towers punctuate the circuit at regular intervals, not placed randomly, but according to a logic of visibility and coverage. Crenellations crown the upper edge, creating a repeating rhythm rather than a singular spectacle. This is architecture built to be maintained, walked, and observed from, not simply admired from a distance. The gates interrupt the wall with deliberate restraint. Each entrance controls movement between inside and outside, narrowing the passage of people, goods, and animals. These were not neutral openings. They were sites of administration, where tolls were collected, identities noted, and purposes questioned. The gate was where the city acknowledged the outside world on its own terms. Commerce flowed through these points, but always under scrutiny. The rhythm of opening and closing shaped daily life, reminding residents that access was regulated, not assumed. The wall did not merely surround the city, it produced a clear division between belonging and exclusion. Inside was not simply safer, but governed. Outside was not necessarily hostile, but less ordered. The boundary was psychological as much as physical. To live within the walls meant to live within the jurisdiction of the city's rules, taxes, and obligations. The wall marked where municipal authority began and where it diminished. This distinction was reinforced every day through routine crossings and constant visibility. Ávila's walls took their enduring form during the period of repopulation following Christian advances in the central Iberian plateau. This was a frontier city, but not one in a permanent state of emergency. The walls stabilized territory that had already shifted hands. They signaled continuity rather than constant conflict. Their presence encouraged settlement, investment, and long-term occupation. They turned contested space into administered space. Control was sustained not through warfare alone, but through management. Construction of the walls was not an improvised response to imminent threat. It was an organized civic undertaking. Skilled labor, material supply networks, and municipal coordination were involved. Stone was quarried, transported, shaped, and placed over years, not weeks. The pace of construction reflects planning and expectation, not panic. The wall's uniformity speaks to standardized methods. This was a city investing in durability rather than improvisation. What emerged was not just fortification, but infrastructure. Within the walls, urban life unfolded according to familiar patterns. Markets filled central spaces. Merchants moved goods along established streets. Clergy followed the rhythms of the liturgical calendar. Families occupied dense stone houses built close together, conserving warmth and space. The wall was not distant from these routines, it framed them. Its presence allowed an internal economy to function with predictability, protected not by constant vigilance, but by the assumption of stability. Along the top of the wall ran the Adarve, the walkway connecting towers and allowing continuous movement along the perimeter. This space was not only for soldiers during moments of alarm, it was used for routine inspection, for checking gates, for watching approaching traffic, for maintaining the structure itself. The act of walking the wall reinforced control through familiarity. Observation became habitual, not reactive. Power here was quiet, exercised through presence rather than confrontation. The towers extended this function. Rising above the parapet, they offered vantage points over both city and countryside. They were places to look outward and inward at once. The city could be seen as an ordered whole, the surrounding land as part of its horizon. Visibility was continuous, not episodic. This constant watch did not always anticipate danger. It affirmed authority by making the city legible and observed. The relationship between the walls and Avila's cathedral underscores this integration of defense, administration, and belief. The apse of the cathedral forms part of the wall itself. Sacred space blended with urban boundary. This was not accidental. It reflects a worldview in which spiritual authority, municipal governance, and territorial control were interconnected. Religion was not isolated from the city. It was embedded into the structure defining civic order. Night altered the meaning of the walls. Gates closed, movement slowed or ceased entirely. Curfews came into effect, enforced not through constant force, but through expectation. The closed wall reaffirmed who belonged inside and who remained without. Silence replaced commerce. The walls did not sleep, but they enforced a collective pause. Order at night was as important as vigilance by day. Discipline was reinforced through routine closure. Psychologically, enclosure offered reassurance. The walls defined a space where residents could orient themselves socially and politically. To be inside meant to participate in a shared system of rules and protections. This sense of belonging reduced uncertainty. Fear was not eliminated, it was managed. Safety was not absolute, but it was organized. Beyond the walls, life continued. Suburbs formed near gates. Farmers worked surrounding fields. Travelers approached seeking entry. These zones were not lawless. They existed in negotiation with the city. Access depended on purpose, timing, and status. The wall mediated these relationships, allowing interaction without dissolving boundaries. It structured coexistence between regulated interior and less formal exterior. Over time, the wall became a symbol of identity. It signified Avila's authority over its territory and its continuity across generations. The stone accumulated meaning precisely because it endured. As military technologies evolved, the wall adapted. Its relevance did not vanish with the arrival of cannons. It continued to define space, guide development, and reinforce municipal presence. Adaptation, not obsolescence, defines its later history. Portions were repaired, reused, and integrated into new urban patterns. The wall remained part of daily life, shaping streets and neighborhoods. Its survival is not a relic of stubbornness, it is a consequence of utility. Today, the walls of Ávila persist as both artifact and framework. Preservation has stabilized what was always meant to endure. Their meaning remains tied to behavior as much as appearance. They invite reflection not on battles, but on governance through space. They remind us that power often operates through routine observation, controlled movement, and accepted boundaries. The walls stand not as symbols of isolation, but of managed connection, and in walking their length or viewing them from below, we confront questions that remain unresolved. How does enclosure create belonging, and at what cost? How does visibility regulate behavior without command? And how much of our own urban lives are still shaped by walls we no longer notice?